Is Raleigh becoming a powder keg for lawlessness? My name's Whitney Hill, Whitney for Raleigh. I'm going to talk about what I feel is a direction that we're heading in Raleigh that's not good, and what I feel like we need to do to head it off at the pass. So I don't think anyone looking at what's going on right now, just with the regular news, would argue the fact that we are going down a path where crime is increasing. A lot of it's petty crime, cars getting broken into, different types of petty larceny going on. But also, too, we're seeing a uptick in murders. The headlines, Glenwood South has probably been the biggest area, downtown area. It's interesting because you never really see what the motives are for these murders. It's very interesting. That's never talked about. Well, these are things that are going on in Raleigh right now, problems in Glenwood South and other things. And so what's really happening here? Well, some of the problems, I think the biggest amount of them may be directly related to homelessness. I don't think anyone's going to argue the fact that homelessness is a problem that doesn't need to be addressed, but also it's a big contributing factor to crime going up in the area. Not a good thing. Our downtown area is a great place. People come from around the country to go here and visit. We have some booming entertainment industry in here, and businesses that come in with the Civic Center. And it's just a very desirable place to be. These are all things that are really important. And when you have homelessness and crime numbers going up and reputation problems, this can all put a dent in that. But regardless of that, just the citizens that live here want to live in a safe environment. So crime is on the uprise here. Homelessness has been on the uprise. I'm not going to get into all the problems that contribute to the homelessness, but we can see the tent cities, and we can see that we're moving down a path of Seattle, Portland. The extreme on this is San Francisco. We could go out and find a lot of other cities as well that have gone down this pathway, and it's not a real good thing when you see that they have stores being looted on a regular basis, businesses moving out of there. It becomes dangerous for the citizens. If we look at the bus system right now, it's become a camp spot for homeless people. I saw a video. The video was presented to the city council that showed was making the case for why we need more buses, and the individual gets on there and shot a video, and my gosh, there's people with blankets sleeping on the bus and luggage in the aisle, and what appeared to me that half the people were on this crowded bus were homeless people. So I think it's a good case for why we need to be getting rid of the free bus service, but that's another video as well. So other areas where we see this crime are Glenwood South. It seems like a bad crowd is moving into Glenwood South. Protests are coming back now because of the Palestinian-Israel issue that's going on. And as we get into an election year, of course, there's going to be lots of activity with marches and protests, and that's the type of things that happen in a free society. So what do we do here? Well, everyone knows that Raleigh is a police short. We have a shortage of police officers. Everyone knows too that Raleigh is the lowest paid police department in the area. They did get a big raise this last year, but all that's really doing is keeping us at par with being at the bottom and competing with all the other local cities in the Wake County area. And we're still at the bottom. And the problem with this is that we have a continual peeling off of officers to go work in other departments in other cities. And you can talk about the fact that, oh, we have 60 officers that are in the training program. That really doesn't mean anything, because in a year, we can have that many officers peel off. And we continually stay under the budgeted amount of 800. And the truth is that the budgeted amount isn't enough police officers to do what we really need. Now, I heard the police chief say 1,000 is what she'd like to have, but she's just trying to get up to the budgeted amount right now. And we're not going to do that with how we're sitting right now and the rate that we train new officers to come in and what we're paying the officers and losing them to other departments. We've just got to fix this. Now, what was interesting to me is I was at a Raleigh North CAC meeting a couple of weeks ago. I heard this complaint voiced in there that we need to pay our officers more money and we need more officers. I'm sorry, that was not that. Yeah, that was voiced in the Raleigh North CAC, and then the next week I was over at the Midtown CAC. Christina Jones was there, and she mentioned that we need 1,200 officers, and I'd probably be really in agreement with her on that. We're way off where we need to be with our police numbers, and you just don't get up there overnight. It takes time to train these officers. I don't know what our ultimate capacity would be on this. Now, we're supplementing right now with contract resources. I think some of these are armed. They are paid for through, I don't know if this is federal money, and they're being put out places like the bus station and such. But the Glenwood South area, I understand that we've hired temporary people that are not armed. And I think there's some factions who say, well, we don't need to arm them. Why would we need to arm them? Well, when they're policing for crimes like shootings, maybe they need to be armed. And if we don't have qualified people in those positions who can handle handguns and be armed, that sounds to me like a dangerous situation where we're having people out there to enforce the law. I'm not saying it's not entirely worthless if they've got a radio and they can spot crime and get backup. That would mean something. But we really need to look at getting our regular police force out. Now, with the homelessness, there are a lot of people who are mentally disturbed or are incapacitated mentally. And I agree with the fact that we need to have folks that are on the police force, and I say on the police force because there's some people who are asking for this that don't want us, groups like Refund Raleigh that don't want them reporting to the police department. And I think right now we do have mental health folks that are working on the police department that can go out and respond to mental health situations. I'd call it like a mental health SWAT team. I think we do need to have these types of folks, regular officers need to be able to call in a mental health team in certain situations. And that to me is a really, really good thing. This seems to be something that's expanding as the homelessness problem is expanding. So I'm all in favor of that. Another thing that I think could be contributing to this problem of a potential lawlessness explosion in Raleigh is the fact that our borders have been open for a number of years. Well, look, this isn't, I'm not talking about the people who are coming in here looking for employment. That's a whole different discussion. I'm talking about real bad characters that can come across an open border and come into the United States. And we don't know what type of terrorists are coming in here, what type of bad individuals. We do see crime where it involves illegal aliens that come in that are basically criminals, and these folks end up killing someone or raping or molesting children. That's why you have borders, and that's why they are guarded, is to keep these type of people from coming in, people who are real bad characters. Raleigh's a sanctuary city. Now, I don't think we have the problems like New York and some of these other cities have right now, where there's just so many aliens flooding in that they don't have, in New York, they don't have the housing to take care of them. They're starting to ask citizens in there to lodge people in spare bedrooms. But it doesn't mean we don't have bad characters coming into Raleigh and potentially terrorists that could come in here that could be a problem down the road. Well, any type of new lawlessness that could be occurring, whether that's riots like we've had in the past, or terrorists operating in here, and with this conflict going over in Israel, who knows what type of terrorist type operations might be coming up here in Raleigh. If we're short on police officers now, and any type of new lawlessness starts coming up, our police department's already more than maxed on what they're trying to do. And so we need to be wary of this, and we need to have a program in place right now to aggressively get our numbers up, and also just to keep up with the growth of Raleigh. I mean, if we're not growing our police department along with the growth in Raleigh, we've got a real problem. And then when something big comes along, then we just don't have the numbers in here to be able to take care of it. We do have an election year coming up, and it's important that people can feel safe going to vote. People need to feel safe when, I'm a big guy for freedom of speech. That means, yes, we should be able to allow people to be able to march, to be able to peacefully demonstrate, and use our streets to do that. Now, we can cancel a parade permit for Christmas parade. So does that mean we're going to cancel parade permits for groups that could potentially be dangerous? I don't think that we should be doing that unless there's a good reason to think that there's going to be some type of lawlessness occurring, but I don't think that's going to happen. So we do need to make sure that we have law enforcement, so that if something gets out of hand, that we've got the law enforcement people here to be able to handle that, and at the same time accommodate free speech, political demonstrations, peaceful political demonstrations. So Glenwood South is another thing. Glenwood South is been a entity that's been going on for a while. It's growing more and more in popularity, and unfortunately, there's some bad characters that are coming in there. Now, I cruise that frequently late at night. I see what's going on in there. Listen, most of the people are going in there are not bad people. I think when you have 2 o'clock curfews, that is an invitation. Nothing good really happens after 11 o'clock, but I'm not going to get into that issue. That's a separate issue. But I do see where what appears to be bad elements are coming in there, and we are seeing crime going up. It is a problem for the residents in there. I've heard complaints about that, not just the loud music, but it's dirty. There's citizens that are going out that are having to clean the mess up. I think more responsibility could be put on the vendors in there that are running the businesses to keep that area clean. There might be something in the works on that. So one other aspect I will mention is community involvement. There is reaching out now with the police department to have some community involvement and different programs and giving community feedback. But we really need to get the community fully involved. Next door is a great place for that, to report crimes that are going on. People have video systems and putting that up. And I'm sure the police are monitoring next door. I hope they are. But there needs to be regular feedback from citizens into the police about suspicious activity that's taking place in their neighborhoods. And we need to get, by hiring more police, hopefully we can get police out of the cars and out there on a daily basis, getting to know the citizens of the areas that they patrol and building relationships. That's going to help get more community involvement with the citizens and provide the police department with a lot more information. Now, I'll just tell you this. I'm up in North Raleigh. I don't see a police car come down my street. If one's out there, there's something wrong going on. And that's rare on my street. So, but police cruising commercial areas and residential areas prevents crime. I don't think anyone can argue with me on that. A police presence is preventative for crime. So that's hard to do when your police force is continually in firefighting mode. Now, one of the things that I really like that the police chief has done is put in a program where I guess they have volunteer citizens to go out and do like police reports on automobile accidents, and things don't really involve any sort of criminality. And that frees the police up quite a bit. And I'll tell you, these reports are necessary. Anyone who's been in an accident, if you don't get a police report done, next thing you know, you're become partially responsible for an accident that wasn't your fault because a police report didn't get written, or it didn't get written properly because the officer was in a hurry. So I thought that was a really great idea. That took a lot of burden off the police officers. So that 800 number is not met of budgeted police officers. There's not really, in my mind, a good plan to get there other than putting in some temporary police officers, but that's temporary. There's not a long-term plan to boost our numbers. And where it really needs to be is at least 1,000 or more, and there needs to be a continual growth plan. If Raleigh's growing, we need to grow the police department along with it. That's just makes sense. And the two components that are key on that is have an educational program that will bring the new officers in at a greater rate than they're leaving, and for us to raise their pay. And I believe it needs to be top scenario. I realize we're not going to do that overnight. You're not going to give them a pay raise that's going to put them at the top overnight, but there needs to be a 5-year program to get our officers up to where they need to be. They have a lot harder job than officers that are over in Cary or Apex, boutique communities or other communities as well. And that to me is critical. If I were a police officer, for one thing, the cost of living in Raleigh is prohibited for police officers pretty much living in here. They're having to go outside the area and commute in. So if I can go over in a community like Nightdale or Wake Forest and make a good deal more money and have lower living expenses, that just would be what I would do. So this is Whitney Hill, Whitney for Raleigh, signing off. I appreciate you listening to this video and my views on this. I want to hear your views. Please put them in the comment section. Also, too, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. I try to put a video out once a week and talk about my views on Raleigh issues and what's going on in Raleigh. Whitney for Raleigh, signing off.